Francisco Goya and the Black Paintings, including Two Men Eating Soup. From 1819 until 1824, Francisco Goya lived in seclusion in a home outside of Madrid. Deaf and maddened from the horrors he had seen from war and from life, a delusional and crazed Francisco Goya articulated his imagination with the expression of the Black Paintings. These paintings, that were painted throughout the walls of his home, expressed the realistic desperation of the human condition, often disturbing portraits of sacrifice and hopelessness. In Two Men Eating Soup, produced during this time, Goya uses only blacks, grays, and charcoals to detail the two sad and lowly creatures, one of which appears crazed with no teeth and the other rotted away, perhaps even dead. In his mind, these were the common and tortured people and the result of war. The Black Paintings displayed the carnage that ravaged Spain during the Peninsular Wars led by Napoleon Bonaparte. This painting, like the other, the Black Paintings, resided on the walls of his home in Madrid, known as the House of the Deaf, until they were released to the public in 1874, far after his death in 1828. They were meticulously constructed with liberal use of paint, but a dramatic attention to detail. They were never intended for release. They were some of the final works from a man that is often considered one of the defining artists of modern art. Goya's descent into madness was a drastic juxtaposition from his earlier work in the late 18th century. Francisco Goya grew up in mid-1700s in Saragossa, under the rule of Charles III in the Age of Enlightenment. Charles ruled sympathetically and encouraged reform. Early in his career, a light-hearted Goya would work for the Royal Tapestry Factory in Santa Barbara, which displayed fun and games performed by various classes. Goya became popular with the aristocracy in Spain for his detailed portraits of dignitaries and their families. His use of detail, perspective, and light made him a sought-after commodity. He became the royal painter for King Charles III and then the court painter for Charles IV. In 1789, Goya's life and perspective would begin to evolve. In France, Louis XVI and the French monarchy crumbled, and shortly thereafter, France declared war with Spain. Goya became gravely ill, which left him completely deaf. Goya's attention to the macabre became evident in this time. In 1799, he released his etchings, the Capricos, which included paintings of nightmarish creatures, ghosts, witches, and beasts. In 1808, Napoleon invaded Spain. The Spanish revolted against the new regime and as a result were murdered in mass executions. Goya pledged his allegiance to the French and remained a royal artist until Napoleon's fall in 1814. The emerging king, Ferdinand VII, was a brutal dictator who restored the Inquisition. Goya would display his anti-war sentiments in the 2nd May 1808 and the 3rd of May 1808. These immensely dark portraits are signs of the style and mood that Goya would later adopt in his black art. Most famously, he would then create his masterpieces, the incredibly dark and moody Disasters of War, a collection of 85 prints that were executed through 1810 to 1820. Disenchanted with the dramatic political strife in Spain, Goya went into seclusion. He had lost all his royal commissions and importance in the Ferdinand monarchy. Having lost his children, his wife, and his youth, Goya retreated into madness and isolated himself in Madrid. This is when he created his darkest etchings, including Two Men Eating Soup, The Commons, and the remaining Black Paintings. In 1824, he would voluntarily exile himself to Bordeaux, France, where he would live until his death in 1828. The Black Paintings were converted to canvas in 1874. Francisco Goya was a visionary. a daring radical that would challenge the political strife of his time. He would question the authority and rule of a papacy and would be banished as a result.
The sources for this documentary are Robert Hughes in his title Goya, Philip Hoffer, The Disasters of War, A&E Biography.com, Goya, The Complete Etchings by Alfonso Perez Sanchez, and Painting in Spain by Rhonda Casil.